Dum-de-dum. And we are recording. Guess what, folks? It's a Sunday, yes. It fucking is. Time for a bit of WhatsApp. So, before we get into this, this coming Monday, tomorrow is October the 31st. If you're heading out with your family for a little bit of trick-or-treating during Halloween, I hope you have a safe and fun Halloween evening tomorrow if you're going to be celebrating it. Yeah, we're at the end of October. The clocks went back today in the UK, so we're back an hour. And yeah, it's the slow, gradual decline into winter. Yay! Oh boy. To be honest, I like winter more than I like summer because it's easier to stay warmer outside than it is to stay cool. Yeah, I'm more of a winter person. Always have been. Anyway. On November the 4th, the Vaping With Vic line of liquids will be launching together with Exceptional Vapes EV, which is they are of course the ones who are making the liquids. So they will go on retail release on November 4th. What I'm planning to do is on November 4th, probably sometime in the early afternoon, I'm going to release a very quick 5 to 10-ish minute video showing the bottle. I'm not going to do a juice review of my own damn liquids because that's insane. You don't do a juice review of your own liquids, just like you don't do a review of your own product. So, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be releasing a very quick 5 to 10 minute video introducing all the liquids, all 3 of them, the general, not a complete breakdown, but the general flavour profile you'll expect to get with the liquids, and then uploading it to the channel. Yes, I will be getting a small cut of the sales on the wholesale side and on the retail side on Exceptional Vapes website, and yeah, because it's got my label on it and it's me that come up with the recipe. But of course Exceptional are the ones who are mixing it, doing the labels, bottling it and shipping it out, so they're doing the bulk of the work. But I'm still getting a little bit of a cut from every sale, and that's going to help tremendously with Vaping With Vic when it comes to when it comes to keeping the studio rent paid and all the rest of it. So yeah, they launch on November 4th. Check the Exceptional Vapes website or the Exceptional Vapes Facebook group for more info. Not group, page. Facebook page for more information. Link to their Facebook. I can't link to the site obviously because YouTube, but I can link to their Facebook page. So link to the Facebook page is down there. If you've wanted to try the peach custard, now's your chance. I know that Andy, when Best Cig Liquid was still Best Cig Liquid and they hadn't turned themselves into a naturally extracted tobacco place, Andy Best Cig Liquid, I know Andy watches. How you doing, Andy? Andy did have permission from me to grab the recipes, or some of the recipes that I put up publicly on eliquidrecipes.com. But the juices that Exceptional are going to be making, one of them is based off of one of the flavours. I think it's the Duchess, it's the watermelon one. In fact, I think that one got tweaked as well from what I remember. No, I don't think it did. I think it's still the one that's on eLiquid Recipes, but one of them, the Duchess, is the old watermelon one that I used to love watermelon. And then I vaped it, and then all of a sudden I just stopped vaping it because of this. Because of that. That's why I stopped vaping the water. Because all of a sudden I get hooked in blackcurrant, and I stopped doing the watermelon. But the Duchess is the watermelon one. The other two are variations on a theme of the peach custards that went up on eLiquid Recipes. They're not exactly the same as the ones that went up, because as everyone knows, I'm a massive peach custard fan, always have been. But the ones that are up on Exceptional Vapes are going to be up for sale on Exceptional Vapes website. They've been altered just a little bit. The cream's been tweaked. The baseline flavours have been tweaked. There's some Inawera in there rather than TFA, the Flavour Apprentice. There's Bavarian cream, a lot of Bavarian cream in one of them, which is based off the Elder King from what I remember, but the cream versus custard ratio, and again some of the flavours have been swapped out. Now the redone Elder King and the redone King were never released on ELR. They were just here. I just made them here for my own use. But yeah, if you've ever wanted to try the peach custard that I'm continuously vaping in this setup here, and I've just filled the tank up. Blaze, G-Class V2, lovely. When it ever switches it on, there we go. If you've ever wanted to try this, now's your chance. Exceptional vapes. I think they're he's going for the bigger bottles with these. I don't think they're 50ml. Are they 50ml? Or are they 100ml? I think they're 100ml bottles from what I remember. So he's going with the bigger bottle option with these ones because, yeah, you're going to be direct to lunging these folks. They're not really for mouth to lunging. They're not really. Well, I suppose you could mouth to lung the Duchess, but I don't mouth to lung custards. I don't. And I don't know anyone else that mouth to lungs custards, so they're made for direct to lunging essentially. But it's either the peach custard or it's black vine that I'm vaping on, and sometimes now and again you can throw in a naturally extracted tobacco that I've got here, but the two base ones, black vine, peach custard, that's what I vape daily, every fucking day, up at the studio or down here at the house. They get released on November 4th, folks. Little bit of the proceeds go to me to help maintain Vaping with Vic, and there will be a video, as I said before, there will be a video going up explaining what the flavour, just a general rundown of the flavour profile. It's not going to be a review, because it's kind of pointless reviewing my own liquids, kind of is. Anyway, so this week, because it is still this week because it's Sunday, this week there wasn't a lot of videos put up, and some of you in social media will have seen that I was posting pictures from Poland, Lublin in Poland. Some of you don't watch the What's Up, because a lot of folks were thinking I was on holiday. I wasn't. Number one, I can't fucking afford to go on holiday, and I can't, and that's why I couldn't afford to go to the October Expo at the beginning of this month. Sure as hell couldn't afford to fly all the way over to Lublin, but the reason I was out there, I flew out late. In fact, it wasn't late, it was late-ish Monday morning. So got the train from here to Glasgow, went from, well, not here to Glasgow, here to Paisley, because for some strange fucking reason Glasgow airport's actually in Paisley, it's not in Glasgow. It's the same as all the fucking London airports are not actually in London. Well, some of them's in Greater London, I suppose. So got the train from here to Paisley, then hopped on a bus from Paisley Gilmore Street to Glasgow Airport to London Luton Airport, which isn't in fucking London. It's nowhere fucking near well, it's in Greater London, I suppose. And then it was like a fucking 4.5 hour layover in Luton. God, Luton Airport's depressing. Luton Airport is really depressing. It really is. And then it was from Luton Airport to Lublin in Poland. Now, if you don't know where Lublin is, it is about 120-ish kilometres, sort of southeast-ish, or is it directly south? I think it's more southeast-ish of Warsaw. And Lublin is where a company called Chemnavatic are. And some of you, in fact not some, a lot of you out there, especially if you don't go to the UK Vapor Expo, or for that matter any of the Vapor Expos, whether it's in Europe or here in the United Kingdom, you probably don't know who Chemnavatic are. The odds are, if you're vaping a liquid in the European Union, the odds are stacked heavily in favour of Chemnavatic having something to do with that liquid. Either the flavourings, or more especially the nicotine. Yeah, they are a very, very big player. Very big player in the production side of things when it comes to nicotine distillates, whether that be free-base nicotine or nicotine salts, of course, and also in the production and making of the flavours that go into the liquids. So I flew out there on Monday. I arrived at Lublin at stupid o'clock in the evening, Monday evening. Went out for a pint, rather nice. Well, I think there's litres over there, I think. It was a big glass, right? Went out for a big glass of rather nice Polish draft lager. Very nice. And then went to bed because I'm old. And that was a fucking tiring flight over there. Tuesday morning, though, was when the work began. And, well, put it this way, there's about 2 hours. Is it about 2 hours worth? It's about 50 gigabyte of footage from the Canon camera. Mixed in with the footage from the DJI Osmo Pocket. So I'm guessing it's round about just under 2 hours worth of footage. I was given access to two of the major, in fact it's two of the facilities that Chemnavatic run, in their main office and in one of their smaller offices where they do basic nicotine distillation and of course the testing of the nicotine as well. I was given a tour of several elements of the production facility at the main Chemnavatic plant. In fact, I even filmed some nicotine shots getting bottled on the rather whizzy bottling machine. Very cool bottling machine they're using there. But the bulk of what happened during Tuesday and Wednesday, and this was like getting up at 8:30 in the morning, like a normal day's work, because that's when they get up, 8:30 in the morning to go to the office. So the normal day's work, what was being recorded on Tuesday was mostly the shots to do with the production facility, but also being wrapped in on Tuesday and then following into Wednesday was a very long series of interviews, and these interviews went into some big details when it comes to the very basics of e-liquid, and more especially the basics of nicotine. For instance, there are 4 different types of nicotine salts, with 2 new ones on the way to make 6 different types of nicotine salts. Now, I didn't even know there was 4 different types of nicotine salts. I only thought there were 2, but there's 4. There's 4. 2 of them everyone's heard of, but the other 2 kind of crept in behind the scenes. I think it must have been about a year ago now. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna cut a very, very short snit now. Again, what you're about to see, number 1 is the raw footage from the camera, and number 2, I haven't leveled out the audio because I haven't even edited any of these interviews yet. This is just the raw footage you're looking at right now. From a DIYer perspective, myself and a lot of people that are going to be watching this do a bit of DIY. Some do it as a hobby, making their own liquids, just to try things out, but others take it seriously. And this ties into one of the big questions that a lot of new vapors have. You've got freebase nicotine, which everyone, especially people that have been vaping as long as me, they know what freebase nicotine is. But then you've got nicotine salts, and the big question that a lot of people would like to know is, freebase, we kind of know what that's all about, because it's been around for a long time now in the vaping industry. But what a lot of people don't know is there's not just one type of nic salt. So what's the story with that?
All right. So I'll start from the very beginning, because Vic, have you ever heard what was even the purpose or the reason that the nicotine salt were introduced to the market? Do you have any idea whatsoever, or is it just like a mere, touching the topic?
I heard several rumours. One of the biggest rumours was that nicotine salt is more stable on the shelf.
Correct, yeah. This is one of the things. Okay, so let's go through it in a more detailed thing. So, of course, the freebase was the first one to be introduced to the market. Of course, everybody knows it and everybody is using it. It's been on the market since 2005 when the first e-cigarettes were popped on the market, And then there's a vast majority of users who were really into trying to quit the smoking. That was the first purpose, of course, of the e-cigarettes and the e-liquids. And what they faced was the situation when the nicotine level that was then regulated by the TPD was too harsh for them. So they were reaching this 20, 25, 30 milligrams of the nicotine, of the freebase, and it was just very, impolite for them to use it. They felt the harshness, the kick. So they wanted more nicotine because their body and the needed that. But they couldn't just get it, because it was painful for them. And that's the main purpose and the idea of the nicotine salts. So what we've done and what the market actually ended up having is that we took the freebase and why you feel the harshness. It's connected to the pH level. The actual freebase and the pure nicotine is an alkaloid. It has a very high pH level of 9.5 to 10.5. And that makes the actual feeling when you vape it, that you feel the harshness, you feel the kick, you feel the pain actually if it's exceeded to some level. So we figured, okay, how to lower the actual pH level. And that's what we do when we do the nicotine salts. We take the freebase, the highest quality that we produce in our company. We take the pharmaceutical grade acids. They're different, as you mentioned, and I'm going to break them down to you in a minute.
Yep.
And then by combining them two together, going through a specific, very, let's say, detailed process of merging the two and then crystallizing them, you obtain the nicotine salt. And the result is that you have a very stable product, as you mentioned, because it's in a crystal solid form. Of course, not all of them are solid, but it's for the later stage of this discussion. So you end up with having a salt that is in crystals. So it's easier for storage, easier for handling, and so on. And then the second part is that you get a product with a much lower pH level compared to a freebase.
So smoother.
So smoother.
So yeah, that's the basis of the reason that I went over to Chemnavatic over in Poland. Chemnavatic are essentially going to be sponsoring the bulk of the ECig 101 series to do series 3 after series 2 is finished. But Chemnavatic are going to be sponsoring the ECig 101 series to do with e-liquids and nicotine. And the middle 2 or possibly the middle 3 episodes of the 5 episode run to do with e-liquids are all going to be over in Chemnavatic, where the basic questions to do with e-liquid, the e-liquid market, nicotine, the processes that go into making the processes that go into making those liquids, the short tour of the facilities, where it all gets condensed down into 2 or 3 separate episodes to give you folks out there, and more especially the new folks into vaping who don't know a thing about e-liquids, it will give them an insight into nicotine. It will give them an insight into how the liquids are made. It will give them an insight into what Chemnavatic's thoughts are about the liquid industry on the day it was recorded, and more importantly, how the liquid industry is going to survive moving forward with the new regulations that may or may not be coming in with TPD 3. Us in the UK, we're kind of safe. We are kind of safe. In fact, Chemnavatic are actually opening up a UK warehouse specifically for the UK. This is how Chemnavatic are thinking, specifically opening up a UK warehouse for UK distribution and sales, and I think that's happening sometime next year. Yeah, sometime next year that's happening. I think they've got the place for the warehouse now, but they're not going to start stocking it until the very end of this year, beginning of next year. So yeah, it's a lot of content, folks. The way I looked at it was simple. In fact, I think it said something like this on the introduction, the quick introduction video that I done for the Chemnavatic sections. I could easily sit here and read all the technical information about nicotine and liquids when I was going to be doing the ECig 101 series, but I thought to myself it would be much better for the viewer if people who know the e-liquid industry from the inside out were able to sit down with me and ask and answer basic questions, going into not so basic questions, right? So the whole premise is that there's not going to be really, really tough technical questions being asked, folks, right? The ECig 101 series was, of course, designed specifically for people new to vaping, and the way I looked at it was this: what is e-liquid? How is e-liquid made? What about the nicotine? That's the three basic questions that a lot of new vapors tend to ask when they're looking at their 10ml bottle of liquid that they buy from VPZ. Or they're looking at their 50ml short fill if they've been vaping for a month or more, and they're thinking, okay, what is this stuff? What goes in it, right? What about the nicotine, and how is this stuff made? It's all answered by Chemnavatic themselves. But we do dig a little bit deeper, more especially into nicotine, and more especially into the market of e-liquids in the EU, and for that matter in the United Kingdom as well. So yeah, they contacted me actually. This is how this actually fell into place. So they contacted me about a month after the May Expo, and I'm going to say it, right? I wasn't going to, but fuck it, I'm going to say it. There's people out there that say, oh, what's the point of the Vapor Round Awards? Awards don't do anything, meh. The reason Chemnavatic contacted me is because they seen me on the stage on the Vapor Round Awards. Yeah. You need to remember the Vapor Round Awards is not like the ECig 1 Awards. The Vapor Round Awards is presented on a stage in front of a live audience, and the audience is not made up of general everyday public vapor. It's made up of industry leaders. Now that's every year for the past 5 years I've walked up in that stage and picked up, no, it's not 5, 4. Every year for the past 4 years I've walked up in that stage and picked up that award, and this is not the first company that's contacted me because of me winning that Vapor Round Award, but this is the first time a company's actually offered to work as directly with Vaping with Vic as Chemnavatic have. And they basically said, Vic, we want to do something with you, but we don't know what. Because technically, yes, they've got a spin-off company that makes their own liquids. In fact, I'm vaping one of them now. Here it is here. It's these guys called Vapi. Summertime Wave. It's like a berry fruit mix with a tiny bit. It's not annoyingly menthol, but they've got a tiny bit of menthol, and as you can see with the bottle, it's actually down quite a bit. I was vaping a lot of this stuff over in Poland, but I'm back in the black vine again because I love blackcurrant. But they wanted Chemnavatic, not their e-liquid company. They wanted Chemnavatic itself to be featured. And that's when I said, well, you guys can basically sponsor the ECig 101, or at least the vast bulk of the ECig 101 section to do with e-liquids that's going to be getting released sometime midway through December, because I haven't even started releasing season 2 yet to do with the hobbyist side of vaping. But yeah, you guys can sponsor the ECig 101 series to do with liquids and nicotine. They paid for the flights there and back, and they also paid for the hotel. They didn't pay me. I never got any money from them, but they did pay for the hotel and they paid for the flights, and that was only fair. To me, that was only fair. They actually did offer to pay me directly, and I went, nope. Although I do need the money, but I went, nope. Just pay the flights, pay the hotel. They even took me out for dinner and lunch as well, come to think of it, but pay for the flights, pay for the hotel, and that'll do me just fine. That'll do me fine. But that's why when the 3 episodes that come up from Chemnavatic, it will actually say sponsored by, because I'm going to have to check that little box when I'm uploading the video. The video will actually say sponsored by, because they did pay for the flights there and back, and they also paid for the hotel. I stayed in the Grand Hotel just outside the Old Town in Lublin. Very nice hotel. Very nice hotel. And here's, fuck it, I'm going to rant. Here's the thing, right? I priced this up myself, just to see how much Chemnavatic were actually paying. So flights, and this is including the flight from Paisley, well, Glasgow, to Luton, right? So the flight's there, the flight's back, including the 3 or 4? 4-night stay in the Grand Hotel in Lublin. It works out cheaper than me going to the UK Vapor Expo over a weekend. The bulk of that cost when it comes to the UK Vapor Expo is the damn hotel fees. It's fucking Premier Inn. Bunch of rip-off conning bastards. And the fucking Grand Hotel in Lublin is inside a massive old Victorian, I think. It's either Edwardian or Victorian hotel. It looks like a fucking 4 or 5 star hotel when you walk in. This is not your Premier Inn, folks. It was actually cheaper than the Premier Inn. I looked it up on their website. It's actually cheaper than the Premier Inn. And I was like, holy fuck. Rip off fucking Britain. That's what that is. But yeah. So, the ECig 101 Season 2, which is to do with advanced vaping. There's 1 episode left to record on that. Well, it might be 2, but I think there's only one episode left to record on that, and that will start to filter out on the channel as we go into the beginning of November or midway through November. And I plan to start kicking off the ECig 101 series, Season 3, to do with nicotine straight after Season 2 ends. So we're going to be looking at sometime round the middle of December, going through New Year into about midway through January. And that will bring an end to the main season run of ECig 101. Season 4 is going to be about these, which is the advanced side or hobbyist side of vaping. But I'm going to take a tiny little break between the end of Season 3 and the recording or the beginning of the recordings of Season 4, just to let the first 3 seasons settle into place. And there we go, folks. So that's what I was up to. This weekend. Flew out to Poland, 2 days of work. Flew back on Thursday morning. I was stuck in Luton Airport again for what should have been 4.5 hours, but because it's EasyJet that takes care of the Luton to Paisley run, guess what? You guessed it, it was fucking delayed. I ended up staying at Luton Airport for 8.5 hours. It's like... What was it Chris Bell, Empire Vape? I think Chris Bell called Edinburgh Airport Mordor. Well, that's what I'm calling Luton Airport. It's like a prison. It's just grey and dull and meh. It's like Mordor. It's no. I don't know. Ugh. That's the worst thing about travelling outside the country. It's the layovers for the connecting flights. Especially considering EasyJet don't do their flights at times that coincide with major flights leaving the country to go to the EU. EasyJet just do their own fucking thing. They don't care about anybody fucking else. But yeah, the travel was a pain in the rear end, but it was worth it for those 2 days. And it was 2 solid days of recording over at Chemnavatic. 2 solid days of recording, but it was definitely worth it. I think that when the ECig 101 series to do with e-liquids gets launched, not so much for the people that know the industry, like the people that have been vaping for a good year and a half that know all about the nicotine, but for the new vapors, there's a lot of info in there. Which answers some of the basic questions they've got. And that's the whole reason I went over there to actually do it in the first place. Anyway, that almost wraps things up, but there's one last thing to cover. I am hoping, fingers crossed, touch wood, I'm hoping for the final auction to be sometime during the last 2 weeks of November. Now again, the auction's going to run on a UK vape show, right? But I'm hoping for the final auction, because there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be cleared out of that office, right? I'm hoping for the final auction to be done during the last 2 weeks of November. Now, I'm not expecting this last auction to raise anywhere near the amount of cash raised during the first 2 auctions, because this auction coming up is going to be rather pod heavy. There is going to be some advanced kits in there, but this one's going to be rather pod heavy. And the idea that I had for this last auction is the remaining advanced doubled kits. I'm going to throw in some used advanced mods, like smock mods, that I've reviewed in the past that I've just gathered dust inside the storage boxes. I'm going to take some of them out, give them a dust over, wrap them in bubble wrap, and throw them into the auction package as well. But the bulk of these auction packages is going to be made up of pods, and the idea is they'll all be shipped out during the first and second week of December. So whoever wins the auction boxes will get their hands on those boxes at least 2 weeks before New Year. I think you know where I'm going with this. So if they've got a friend or a family member that says, oh, I'm thinking of giving up smoking as a New Year resolution, you've just won an auction box that's got 4 pod kits in it. Hand one over to them and see how they get on. That's the idea. The proceeds are probably going to go to one of the local children's charities up here in Scotland, and it might just go straight to the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, the RSPCC, but it might go to one of the local charities for kids up here in Scotland instead. I'll see how things go as we get closer to the actual auction date. So sometime during the last 2 weeks of November. That's what I've scribbled on the calendar in front of me, folks. It'll give me a chance to clear out a lot of those pod kits that are simply taking up loads of space in the studio. It's even worse now because I had to shut down the storage cupboard and throw everything inside the main studio. So it'll give me a chance to clear some space under the desks. And it'll also give folks a chance that win these auction boxes to help some of their friends or their families basically give up smoking if they're gonna be doing that as a New Year's resolution. Anyway, I think that basically covers it for now, folks. I think it does. Reviews are back to normal next week because I'm not going anywhere now. In fact, that's basically it for me travel wise until the May Expo. So yeah, reviews are back to normal next week, folks. UK Vape Show's back to normal next week, and of course the Floofcast is also back to normal next week as well. That's it for me, folks. As always, thanks for watching and have a good one.